Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. No Show.
And I'm 72, the architect.
And today we are going to be talking about
Burnout.
that's right. That's right. Have you ever just felt like the world is just crushing down on you?
The demands of your family and maybe your business are just weighing you down too much.
That's right. Because, life ain't easy, but it sure as hell gets harder and harder every time we face a new challenge. So today, let's talk about burnout and really put our emphasis on building a better us and painting a better vision for how we see ourselves. Hey,
And
Yo, Jay,
that's
how you
definitely an
feeling?
appropriate thing. This, what is it? Beautiful Tuesday morning.
Tuesday? It's Tuesday already?
Wait, or is it Monday?
Nah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's
Look at
Tuesday. Now you're gaslighting me. Come on now.
Fools, man. It's not even April Fool's Day, and I got you. One for no show. Let's go.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everybody. If you're listening to us live on Wisdom, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whichever you prefer, the link is in our bios on whatever platform you're seeing us. So definitely here for you all to enjoy a great conversation, and it could definitely help out you all in making a difference in your days. And hey, it's only Tuesday. We still got a few more days till we get to the weekend and to be able to do a lot of the independent stuff. But let's take a little bit of consideration of what we can do even on those grind days. Are you getting up early in the morning? Are you making a difference in your day? Do you have time for yourself? Are the kids crying on you? Are they hanging on you? Yeah, we're going to talk about all that great stuff as well as your career. Are you achieving your new heights and still keeping
Mm,
a fresh mind?
mm. That's deep, man, because sometimes people don't want to get that deep. Not with themselves, at least,
Nope.
right? I never did. I just started recently doing it because I'm realizing things differently. Things don't look the same. So, yeah,
What? Are
by
you
all
trying to
means.
say the world is not wrapped around us?
I wish that blanket had us, man. I wish it did. I wish we was comfortable with it. But
Yeah.
it's a cold night, man. It's a cold night. We all got to deal with it sometimes.
So how are you feeling today? I'm feeling the weight. I mean, the weekend was tough. Last week wasn't so bad, but the combination of weeks, months, we're well into the new year, about to close out the third month of the year, and we're approaching into the fourth. So we really got to take a little bit of a proactive approach to keep our mindset sober and clean of all the weight and keep our foresight in focus. And just a good morning to a few of the listeners. Hey, Cyber Shots, our one of our brothers and co-hosts on Blink Canvas
Shot,
on the morning
shot
on Saturdays.
has entered the build. Shot.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's definitely responding. Also, good morning to those who are listening live on Wisdom. Hey, the Spacer, Kimmy, Wendy Rodriguez, and Donnell Canilli. Hey, welcome in. So, before we really get into it, we're gonna do a little bit of dose of the Daily Stoic for today, and I think it's actually the post was for last Friday, and it's titled "What Rules Are Ruling Your Reason." Now, from the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations 12.33 says, "How does your ruling reason manage itself? For in the key of everything, whatever else remains, be in the power of your choice and not in the corpse and smoke." Now, Ryan happens to say the Roman satirist Juvenal is the most famous in this question: Who watches the watchman? In a way, this is Marcus Aurelius asking himself what you might ask yourself throughout the day. What influences the ruling reason and that guides your life? This means the exploration of subjects like evolutionary biology, psychology, neurology, and even the subconscious. Because the deeper forces that shape even the most disciplined rational minds, you can be the most patient person in the world. But if science shows us more of poor decisions on an empty stomach, what good is patience? So don't stop at stoicism, but explore the forces that drive and make stoicism possible. Learn what underpins the philosophy of your study and how the body and mind tick. Understand not only your ruling reason, the watchman, but whoever and whatever rules that tool too. Now the question of the day is, am I keeping watch That's a really, really important question. Are you keeping watch of all the things that are on your plate metaphorically, what's in your life, what's coming in, and what's being demanded of it? And I think for burnout, that's perfectly appropriate because the daily demands of what we deal with on
On
average
average,
definitely
definitely.
takes. Oh, is there an echo? Hold on a second. No show, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard echo. So, anyways, but if you really think about, we deal with so much, that come in and out of our consciousness, and our presence. But are there some things that are just getting out automatically and not even thinking, or causing more havoc and more weight on our bodies and our minds on a daily? That's my question to you.
Repeat that question for me one more time, man.
Are we creating more burdens on our consciousness and our presence than we realize? Are we on autopilot too much?
Of course, but then again, I don't think we're not. I think we're just structured to be that way, like autopilot, more autopilot than anything. Everybody is literally walking on pragmatic concern or command. So it's no matter how many times you think about it, we're all organizing our brains to function a certain way. So when we're doing these things, a repetition is like our mental game is programmed to like this is what has to be done. But the
Hmm.
subconscious game is like, I'm tired of this. This is not right. I feel broken. There's nothing free about this shackle that I'm constructed to, right? So I mean, I feel like we can get burnt out on some of the things that frustrate us the most, gets locked in and just overwhelms us to the point where every time we try to break those shackles, it's just like, no, the program in our mind is telling us like, no, it's okay, just stay here. Everything will be all right. Just stay here. So
Hmm.
it's for me, it's a battle of the mind, and my conscience is always trying to break because it has this rebellious nature to it. And I just disbelieve a lot of things that I see or interact with nowadays more than ever. So, I don't know. It's personal too, right? Somebody could be experiencing more of an emotional response to how this is happening to them at a more of a frantic rate. Some people
Hmm.
just take those leaps. So it just depends on who you are as a person and the mundaneness that you feel shackled to, or the annoyance, the nuisance that you're in line with, the job or career that the people that you work with, or the business partners that you're working with, right? You get those kind of feelings coming through. So when you have to really balance it all out, in my stance, you got to fight your mental game. You got to be able to achieve better
You got
than
to
what.
be on top of it at
Yeah.
all times. And if you're not, it's just like things get out of hand, chaos starts to evolve, and you're just like, okay, what is it all about right now? What am I, you start questioning and doubting, which doesn't belong to you. You should not be doubting yourself according to what, to measurement of outside of you, to someone else's lifestyle, to someone else's perceptional value. It goes a long way, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and that's where we are today, man. Because people are taking on a lot of responsibility. I know I am. I know you are. And
Absolutely.
as you see it, like we're all trying to guide that hand to the righteous lands, man. We're all trying to get it right. And the funny thing is, when we sit here and put anything that we have in our presence into motion, like I want this new bill, I want this new jeans, I want these new sneakers, I want any of these things. Like we got to find a way to achieve it.
I want
Regardless,
that 5,000 square foot home,
I want
beachfront
that.
property.
Ooh, beachfront, bro.
In
Say,
Malibu, some of the hills in my backyard.
man, the site is foreseen. I mean, come on, we here, buddy. I'm ready to look for the dreams that's in my mind that are trying to come through. And when you just do what you came to do and get it disrupted, it's like, damn, man. Like, yo, what is this feeling that's just overwhelming me on a constant rate? Like, what is it? What am I dealing with? So when I see the dream and I see that it's within hands and finger touch reach, I already know myself. I'm just going to it at all costs. And sometimes everything around it that just doesn't seem to get to that dream tiresome.
But we also have to ask the right questions, are you putting okay, so say like you made a goal for yourself, you want to make $10 million within 5 years. Are you realizing what you're asking for? Because $10 million in 5 years means $10 million starting day one, that goal, and $10 million worth of effort and focus. And with that focus, you got to realize that the demands and strains of you have other attachments. Like, what about, when you're focusing on business, and you got a family and you got kids,
Hmm.
you got to attend to them.
Right,
You,
right, right. That's
so
important. That's important. Yeah. Are you? Do we really have to follow those guidelines now? Like this is new age, man. Like parents aren't thinking the same as our foreparents, our forefathers have. So just in that account, society will tell you, how we think and how we respond to certain things. When people are dealing with these traumas in their head, I think it's a trauma. It's something that you brought onto yourself that just starts hemorrhaging your whole life. I feel like it's a form of trauma, right? And
right.
the beautiful thing is how we assess that and get past that rock in a hard spot that we're just under. So my thing is for you, yeah, my kids, my job, yeah, my everyday mundane waking up early to a phone that's telling me to come and go, and you know what I'm saying? Like I need to be this, that, and the third, versus me actually waking up and it's like, the creative process is real, right?
It totally is. Because if you don't realize of how valuable it is, it actually can be relieving in so many different ways. Because when you're in the creative process, this is something where your own spirit just comes alive and it works on nothing that is required. It's a get to mindset. Now, the difference between a get to and a have to is like, hey, yeah, I get to do this. And I realize, man, it sure is better than me clocking in and clocking out for somebody else's cause. But if you can be entrepreneurial and work both ends at the same time, you got something to deal with. You definitely got, some gold. You know what I'm saying?
But when you have somebody who looks at life burning the candles and that both sticks, like that's the overall reasons for it, right? People be working 2 to 3 jobs.
Hmm.
Everybody's out there trying to find a hustle, a strategy to the madness. And when you are placed in a new survival mode, it's a whole different game. It creates different hustles. It creates different attitudes and activities. So when
Absolutely.
you understand that people are dealing with the I don't want to work here, there, or the third because they're not getting the amount of money needed. What if people shift the money? You're talking about a whole ass mindset that has been spurred from the like-minded thinkers. They
Well,
don't
let's
want to
even
work a 9 to 5, so let's all make a 10 to 6. Like, you know what I'm saying?
well, let's take it a little step further. What about forget money? It's the objects of our desires and our necessities and our wants, and working all for us and not we just working for them. How many times have you heard that phrase? Don't work for money, have money work for you,
Mm.
right?
Don't work for money.
It's a vicious cycle, but if you get past money, because if we put money as an idol, how far does money really go? There's constant things that are attacking the value of what we use for currency on a daily.
Mhm.
There's constant things, there's things that are attacking your attention. Whether you see a commercial, hey, don't forget you can buy into this, and if you buy my book and program in real estate principles, you can be blah blah blah. Or do you need money now? you know are you aging, are you a senior citizen that would like to enjoy your life a little better? There's always something grabbing for your attention. Or even the most recent things, what's in publicity, what's in the incidents. Like, more people were talking about the things that happened in the media about the Oscars than really, do you even know who won really for best actor or best actress? Does it really matter to you? Does it really matter about their problems versus, how you're going to meet your own investments of getting a little closer to your own goals?
Right.
That's a very valuable, that was a perfect example. Yesterday was a perfect example of where people lead away from their lives. But then they realize, well, I'm still dealing with all the stress. While they're still living high on the horse, we're still here. We're still grinding. We're still trying to figure it out. You
But
know what
you
I'm
attract
saying?
who you attract, though, regardless, because every time you see people of a substantial amount of pockets, right, they sit with the rest of those who have a substantial amount of pockets. Just and the homies be with them. So it's not necessarily like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just sit up here and sit down there with at the kids' table when I'm in sixth grade, right? No, they're not
Mhm.
gonna do that. They're looking at their grade level, and that's kind of one thing that people really need to understand. Like in this market, like your money situation that's constantly repeating its stressful intake on your mental psyche, that's a big burnout, right? Nobody wants that. We want to wake up in the morning feeling free with our creativity. If we could just weld some items together, you know what I'm saying, work on an engine on a vehicle, right? These are the things that our minds and our longings for. I mean, hell, people wake up, make beads, man, you know what I'm saying. uh
Mhm.
they weave and wove stuff, right? So it's kind of interesting how we know as mind, um, conscious minds in this land of humanism. It's kind of funny how we don't all think to do what we want to think that we want. It's crazy.
So what can we do exactly on a daily practice? What are a few things that you do privately, that take your mind away from all the stresses, you know? Some people, they're either drinking, they're smoking something, they're playing a video game, they're watching TV, but are they really treating the problem, or then they're just putting a band-aid and saying, "Okay, go to bed, feel better," and go back to the grind again? What are things that that maybe you do that keep you sober and mentally conscious, free of all the demands? Because it's like, how many times we've done shows, like, say, like, you've had stresses in the past. you
Right.
know it's like, you know, sometimes, like, little mama, she can't help it. She's little, she wants dad's attention. And you're less like, look, I'm trying to produce a product. I'm trying to do everything I can. I'm trying to live the best way I can. You know what I mean? And same with
uh,
me. It's like, if it ain't the demand of my 4-year-old at times, or my 14-year-old, or my partner, or work, getting to work is a very valuable thing. But when we make it feel an overbearing pressure, like it's too much stress, where do we step back? How do we step back? That would be the real question.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot to decipher. I mean, it's a whole escapade of building that that want to be there, right? Because sometimes you just like, I'm tired of this. Like, this little girl driving me crazy. This little kid just running amok, just like, ugh. Like, I heard a parent the other day just spell this loathe at a young kid who has no father in the family. Right? He's only got a mom, and he's a little boy trying to grow up in a fatherless home. And I heard
Mhm.
this kid, expel that. So it's kind of like, man, you loathe that little man. Just what I'm saying. Like, you hate a situation that has no bounds to you except for just interaction of knowing who he is growing up in the process. So it's like you're angry at this boy and you dislike this boy because he has without, and you are there to provide for yours. It's
Mhm.
you're forgetting, like, you know what I'm saying, like, you can't be that thinking, right? That's like, you're tired and irritated of how his antics are sitting on you, and you loathe the young man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we as thinkers, or we supposed to be the most supremacy of all beings, right? That's how we, and us Americans, think, it seems as if. But we as those individuals, we have to really just retract all that information we took down growing up and really just puzzle ourselves with it. Like, it's a
But it
real.
also could be the designing. I mean, I think it has a big part of how the design is. Like, look, people are waking up to the fact, like, the thought process is, go to school, go to college, get a great career, and live your happy life, get married, do whatever. But people in the meantime, while that may wisdom or suggestion may be some kind of soundness to give them an apprenticeship into a profession to supply and take care of their own needs, It could be a taxation on your future. You know, how many people are too busy paying back their debts and their burdens versus really enriching themselves? And that doesn't mean just money. We're talking time. You know, if you had to say, like, a lot of people in the Central Valley in California, they drive to the San Francisco Bay Area, and on any peak time, it could take an hour and a half to 2 hours just to go 6 miles. Now imagine that coming back, and then you got to attend to the kids. They either got soccer, they got swimming, they got baseball, they got football, and then you got to make dinner, and then it's just like your nutrition, and then you have to figure out somehow when you can have some sit down time, and by that time it's late at night, you're already exhausted. You got to get back to bed. And then you got to start all over. Where does the programming get rearranged for your benefit? It's by taking less off your plate. You know, one thing that I know, like, for example, my niece, she has all three of her kids in soccer. That's a huge expense. Three different teams of three kids, you know, and trying to shuffle around. And her husband works a really great job. And one thing I will say is that I don't know how they get it to work, but not to talk about their financial situation, but you know, they have hard times with energy. And you know, when we don't have enough energy to recuperate, to recess, to be able to appreciate the present, you know what? The present seems like a distant future. It's like, well, someday I'm going to have it better. But instead of right now, like, all right, maybe I can take off some of this. Let's give a break for ourselves. Maybe I don't have to take a job so far away. And with the pandemic, what it did, it showed the globe that you can work from home. And
Mhm.
this was unrealized. So there are avenues and choices in which you can do, in which you can take part in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't understand how we could just be like, hey, this is the life. This is what we want. This is what we think. More or less what I really feel is that no matter the design aspect of it all, we need to look into the overall creative focus. Like that is the want we all have. What we
Mhm.
gives us purpose. How do we deal with enjoying the lifestyle of being a creative, being a an artist, being somebody who can build, mold, sculpt, different frames of vehicles, and be able to be an architect. These are the things that really inspire the next level of thinking. Like, think about it, if we had more of those in schools young, right? If we could instill those values, right? The wants, desires, and needs that Cybershots was talking about, once you master those, think about how young they could learn to be a master at those crafts. We're talking about 18, 17-year-old, you know, architectural engineers who are building, eco-friendly homes with no drain to what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of mindset that we should be building and aiming for. But we're in fairy tale land. People think we're just too up there thinking like, hey, this is possible. In reality, what I have aimed for, the dreams that I see for my kids, is once I get everything under control, is they have to get what they need to get under control. But it doesn't work like that. I got to be able to put my control mixed with their control and then balance out the control levels, kind of like an engineer, a producer. Like, you got
Mhm.
different sounds. You got drums, you got hi-hats, you got the snares, you know what I'm saying? You got the toms. So when you're looking at it, you got to put all those on different frequent channels if you want, and then those are your family. Those are your values. So which one's higher than the other? Which kind of level can I use to, balance out what is going to make the audio of my life that much more of a clean and pristine sound? That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Right,
What
I
are you
feel
doing?
you. And then where's your biggest compromises in those things? You know, like this weekend, I had a difficult weekend with my 14-year-old, and I love her to death. But it's just like, you know, I know it, working with counseling, my counselor is basically saying, hey, keep working on you and she will follow, but be mindful of her experience and tentative to her, her expressions, so that's the thing is when we realize how far and what we're willing to do and how what we're willing to gain with what we have as opposed to what we don't have, that's a big leveraging point. And it's like some people, like, they'll go, I know plenty of people that will go to church routinely, pray to Jesus or whatever they pray to, and say, God, take this burden off my hands. But the maker in my mind, what he's saying, I've given this to you for a reason to sort out. And when you get through with it, there's a great benefit on the other side. But keep the focus on the best of you, not what's outside of you. You know what I mean?
The best was in you, not outside of you. External versus internal.
Yep.
Humbling, humbling.
Is that TV going to make you a little better? Is that game system going to make your life a little bit more exciting? Are you really going to travel? Are you going to enjoy and educate yourself about the new foods, getting out of making hamburger helper to buying a burger from Burger King and supplying and spending endless amounts of excess money on garbage? Are you going to start realizing that nutrition and you getting to a healthy night of sleep and giving it adequate, rest to everybody in the household, whether you're single or in a family? It really comes down to that. You can't compromise and exchange extra work. There's this philosophy that it's been going on since, I would have to say, 2007. Grind, 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 right? You got to put, say, like, if you've got 8 hours of your job and then you've got 8 hours of sleep, that's 16 hours. Where's the other 8 hours? What are you putting yourself into? TV, external events that have nothing to do with you? Are you really wasting so much? Why not put time in? And yes, I agree. Maybe some of that time can be learning a new skill, maybe learning a language, maybe really looking at what creative things you can do, painting, sculpting, I don't know, making whatever, gardening, getting outside of your home in the constraints of an internal prison. We make these things. These things don't make us.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Tough love, man.
Yep.
Tough love. Yo,
And
so
yet,
let's hit a part two, man. Let's hit the part two right quick. Just wondering how does one deal with it? How do we learn to acknowledge what it is? These are the two things that we kind of really have to talk about in the earlier chapter of the show. So let me ask you this real quick, Jay. As far as the process of just taking it into the realm of not being external but being more internal, how does one suggest we move forward and grow? What do we need to identify that would help us best ourselves in the thinking game? Because when we get overwhelmed, we get overwhelmed. So, what is, in your
mhm,
best words, how we can focus more on the internal versus external?
the first place that I have to start when and even today, I'm like, I woke up, I think I slept 4 hours, 5 hours. I was stressing, but what helped me get up, before I even got on, we started doing our stuff for the show. I just took time to breathe and quiet. I didn't get on my device. I woke up at 5, actually 4:50 today. Got up and I just started breathing. I just started like I went outside. It was still dark out. I saw the stars. Still kind of cold and after effects of the rain the last couple days, but I just stood there, just breathed fresh air. That's what I did. I just like, okay, this is about me, nobody else. Let me breathe, get some oxygen in my lungs, and let me be present with myself before I attend to anyone else's demands. That's one thing I did.
Taking
That's what
that
I do.
first breath of air, right? Getting that new rebound vigor about yourself.
Hmm.
I love it. Yeah, that's kind of how it is for me too, man. Um, always wake up, take that deep breath in, and I do it for about 15 minutes. Just
Yeah,
kind of that
that's
flow.
about. I'm sitting outside. I'm drinking my water, my water flask, and I'm just like sitting there. And I had a fold out chair from inside the house, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm got my hoodie on and just like breathing it in, man, because it just feels like we spend so much time indoors and it feels confined. And then, like, for me, it's like the emails, the phone calls, the appointments. What do I need to do for my kid today? What do I need to send money to whatever my family member? Am I realizing, am I keeping a hand on what's coming in? because there are like one thing that I do, I don't allow any of my phone messages to be answered until after 10 a.m. Even in business. I start work about probably about 8:30, 8, but even in all that time, I don't look at any of those things until after 10 a.m. unless there's two priorities that I have in notifications on my phone. One is my 14-year-old, anything with her and her mom. If there's something that happened, like a fire, whatever, those messages come right through. The other is my partner, you know. My lady is like straight up real. And so what you realize is like, hey, those come through, but everything else doesn't come through until after 10 a.m. because I need my sobriety to ease into your day. And not a lot of us can actually do that because we have volunteered our efforts into those notifications and demands. So by taking your time to breathe and not answer anything,
Okay.
guess what? Now you've started a healthy level of discernment. Do you really need to attend something after today? Is it priority? Is someone dying? Is the house burning down? More than likely not. People say, well, I can't leave my phone aside because I have, what if something happens? What is the likelihood in majority of time of throughout your days that something tragically is going to happen because you didn't have your phone? It's a very slim margin, in my opinion.
I mean, like I look at it like this. When we look at the world in itself, we hold as individuals certain items, certain treasures more than others. That's
True.
my goal is to look at what is the most valuable to me. Try to save that shit. If it's in a fire, I'm looking at what it is. What's the most important? Like I already got my list, man. Number one, I got to keep my swords. Like my swords is my thing. Gonna get my swords. That's the best thing about that. Then I might get my laptop. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I already have my own go bag for all my stuff. All I need to do is mainly get my external hard drive. Everything else can fry. I don't care the Rodecaster, the MIDI keyboards, the whatever external hard drive because I that's a lot of work I put in that I can still keep. So it's yeah,
But if
I
you get beyond that, what matters most?
I
What
mean, first
what
things
re
first was setting my kids up. That's
Yep.
it, right? If it's in that situation or others, so it's like we would have to be torn away from certain material items to really get past that want, that feel, that desire to it. Right? And
Mhm.
then when everything's burnt down, who knows what you'll buy again?
Right. Remember, was it last year, like you buy your apartments, like you were showing me how there was fires. I don't know if it was another apartment building or a house, but I remember you sharing it with me.
Mhm.
Yo, Jay, I got to deal with this. I'm like, hey, dude, what you got to do, man. I'm here if you need me.
It's
Remember?
a scary feeling, bro. Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through something tragic in my life. Like, I think it was in 1997, January 1. Yeah, it was January 1. I was working in Yosemite National Park. I got flooded out. I got a bang at my door, and I had literally 10 minutes to grab my stuff and get out. I left a lot of things, got damaged.
Mm.
I watched a lot of stuff, a tragedy go, but when you realize that the most important part of your experience is that you're living, you're in a safe place, and that you can move on to the next evolution of your life, taking today for what it is today. And then when you reach tomorrow, you appreciate it then. But some of us, we think we have so much time. Like how many times people say to a young person, 20 years old, oh, you're young, you got plenty of time. Reality is we don't know that. We can't anticipate what we assume to have, but the likelihood that we have quite a few years, at least 20 more years for the most of us, we have 20 years to think about and to craft and make that adult experience a benefit so that we're not dependents. But see, we create a lot of dependencies within those years. Um, and whether it be your choice in your want now and pay later, or you know what, I'm putting a lot of investment to make leaps and bounds. Think about like digital coin like Bitcoin, people who've made money on that,
Right.
and then are reaping the rewards. They were living with top ramen and macaroni cheese on a daily basis, and now they having caviar and smoked salmon, at their leisure. Do you let the gamble exceed your means? Some people sacrifice for a purpose. Some people are sacrificing on a gamble, which is more appealing. And when it comes to burnout, it's like being able to retract, look, I have my personal power in this experience now, not someone else. Unless you're in prison, you know what? Even your mindset is yours and yours alone, not your wife's, not your kids, not your friends, not your mom and your dad. It's yours. And
But
by
you have to fight that mindset, bro. Like
you have to fight for it, and
you know
fight with it.
I mean, it's like an identity crisis.
Hmm.
You got to find out between dealing with who you are, evolving into the relationships. Because
Hmm.
with the kids, it's a whole different relationship. You're the father, right? Now you have to be an example. And if you get overburdened, you just want to release somewhere, right? So what is your release? And that's kind of where
Right.
this part two of the episode. I want to be like, yeah,
Well, we
I
we
want to say
mentioned
something,
breathing. That's
but
one.
yeah, we mentioned breathing, but my second thing is what is going to help me look at more internal than external, and if that's the understanding, then my second thing would have to be identifying what's causing the problem. Like, because I can sit there and breathe, take my
Hmm.
time, but once I'm done, I have to look at what started the original pain that I'm trying to breathe through. So when I
So
identify my
is that
breathing,
self-assessment that you're really referring to? Are you self-assessing
exactly,
yourself with a healthy mindset?
cleaning out and building the healthy mindset, because I use my
Mhm.
breathing, look at the object that I want to, relax with and breathe about it, which then I get a more clairvoyant understanding about how to attack it. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like that, this is my method. And people have another one. If there's something that suits you, do it.
Right.
It took me a while to figure out what releases the tension from me. So that's one of the reasons why breathing is key. And I look at what is the problem from the night before. What can I do to do it better? Breathe on it, think on it, clear it, clear it, clear it. And now I'm over here thinking about different ways to address the issue that I was dealing with. Whether
Mhm.
it be my kids, like, oh snap,
It could be the what your environment too. I mean, one of the ways like, okay, when I was stressed out this weekend, the first thing after I was breathing, my kid was getting on my nerves and I love her to death, but I was like, okay, let me look at my environment. My house was in a little bit of chaos. Clothes need to be put away, trash need to be taken out. Let me open up the windows for fresh air. That was the next thing. Take an evaluation of your surroundings. If your surroundings are in chaos, I'm sure it's pretty close relation to your mindset. So what to do is like if you've got to clear out the mental clutter, also work on the physical clutter around you because it's a reflection of the internal by not leaving the laundry in the laundry basket, having your bed constantly in chaos, constantly having like three TVs on in the house, for example. And it happens to a lot of us. We need noise to work to. No, you don't. You don't need any noise or any pictures or any, you need, sobriety of your emotions and the inputs.
I'm not gonna
So
lie. Sometimes those little household remedies kits where you can be like, let me purchase the sound of the ocean soundbite,
yeah,
right?
that could be one too. Yeah.
I mean, there's things that I will. That's why there's no definite focus. You know what I'm saying? There's no what's going on, Lulu. There's no definite focus, man. When you actually look into how the buildup from that thinking process starts to become freer, like it's a whole mind. You
I
know what I'm
feel
saying?
you. I feel you.
It's a beautiful thing, but long story short, how does one resolve the number two step from dealing with release? Release is key, right? Your burden from the whole entirety of the burnout. What is
Right.
causing you feeling the burnout? Is
Right.
it your job? Is it a relationship? Is it a family member? Is it your car? you got to keep fixing this piece of the car, but you don't want to put money into it. You don't want to
Well,
do
how
it.
many people really do the daily, monthly maintenances? Like you have, most people have no idea of a monthly maintenance could make a huge difference in your longevity of your vehicle for not just repair value, but sustainable value. The amount of miles you put on every day, that could be a big thing. And if you're not like, okay, let me take an evaluation, let me check the water, let me check the oil, let me see how much money do I really need to spend on repairs. Do you have a calendar date like, okay, I replaced my brakes on January 15th, a year from now, do I need to reevaluate that test? How many miles, do I need to replace a certain part, whether it be spark plugs or belts? They all rack up, but if you keep on shelving it, when they break down and that excessive cost, you're like, how am I going to afford this? You've already put stress. But there was something you kind of said earlier, the release is so important. But here's another thing about the release. After you've released, let's say, a big amount of pressure, now you're extra sensitive, believe it or not. You got a lot of free room, in yourself. Are you evaluating what is really gonna could come in? Are you taking precedence and understanding these inputs? Like me, did I watch the Oscars? No, didn't really care. Did I let, come Monday morning when I had to start my day, to let the stresses of my kid, or my partner really infect my presence? Nope. I was like, oh great. I've designed Monday to be the best Monday to date. And it was. Monday was a really great day. I had a great connection with my clients. They loved talking to me. They're like, hey, they were stressed and I was. And it's like, hey, I'm here to serve and be any of assistance I can be. One of them asked me, how did you get to that? And I just said, look, and taking myself not so seriously at times, to attend to you, I've also got to attend to me. So take a little pressure off. And after you're taking the pressure off, evaluate what are the inputs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm looking at. How is it we are able to achieve that divide within ourselves? Because we're making people happy outside of ourselves, right? We're enjoying knowing that I love this individual. I want to spend my time with them the best way that I can. Then you're ripped and torn between your self identity and your expression in that identity. It's like, yo, can I just, create like for 30 minutes, right? You want maybe 20 if you can, but in your mind, it's going to take at least 3 hours just to do some edits. Or maybe it might even take 50 minutes for you to go tune something up underneath the hood, but you're having trouble with it. So it took an additional 20. So, how does one really accept that true initial value with yourself when you're divided, loving multiple people around you that have that division about loving you and still being themselves as well? Like this, it's a whole pie that we all got to be considerate of because we do, as self-reflecting entities or individuals, we do look into that and we see people for who they are. But sometimes our wants and desires just take precedent over others. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm
Yeah,
just
there is an exchange, there is healthy exchanges. And and to me, it's not about sacrifices. These are payments. Like, okay, if I want $10 million dollars in 5 years, okay, I'm giving $10 million dollars worth of 5 years exchanges. And in that time, whether I achieve it or not, I agree to this. And some people might refer to it as the laws of attraction. What you give out is going to come back in. It's really that simple. But there's more to it. There's intentionality that people talk about, manifestation, great. But it's the exchanges, what you give out and what you take back in. Are you being mindful in your mindset? And for a lot of us, by the time that we get to burnout, it's oversaturated with so many inputs, and it's like, okay, when I release, but now what's my strategy? And that's the exchange of gratitude. Thank you for a wonderful home that I get to live in. Thank you for a vehicle. Gratitude brings everything all into one. For burnout, to not be so serious and not take over me is I remember that's the third ingredient that I could say that attends to burnout is my gratitude. I am grateful that I do have these problems. I could have a lot worse. I could be in a lot worse circumstance, but I am grateful for the problems. And as I get through these obstacles and problems, I can definitely see some benefits. But see, we don't have that long sight. A lot of us have the short sight. Like, can you just get it out of my attention? Get out of my way. I just want to relax. I need a vacation. Will you kids stop bothering me? Why doesn't work recognize me? That's the short sightedness, right? But do you see like what you invest into? No, show we talked earlier last year. One of the things you told me about was like, hey, I'm looking into coding, I'm looking into coin, I'm looking into different values and my health. You made health like you made it like I've heard you tell your kids, now we're not buying all that junk. And then they devoured the healthy stuff and like, damn, I gotta buy 2 bags of them, these little nectarines or whatever. I gotta buy, you know what I mean? Like you're like, I'd rather have them that problem than I just bought a big giant 2 pound, 3 pound bag of Doritos and they fought over it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean
No,
it
no,
comes with goods and bads.
yeah, that's it's all about choice, and I'm developing that choice build up. It's not easy. It's hella not easy because every time I look into the eyes of my children, I see the future. Like I have to think that no matter how tedious or bothersome they may be over things that are just like move that toy. I told you that I picked that toy up, man, like 5 times. Like yo, pick up this damn toy, right? Just being a father in that aspect, it's like yo, imagine my brain telling me that, like it's telling me like I told you to get on your ass and go do those edits
Sometimes you got to be like the Terminator. I told you to pick up the toy off the floor,
5
didn't I?
I feel
I'll
like
be I'll be back. And here comes the bell. I don't believe you, Dad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Or you're like, oh, so you wanted to watch TV? Got you. Let me
and it's
unplug
it's
this.
weird. It's weird because like remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger was like in what's that Kindergarten Cop?
Mhm.
Who is your daddy and what does he do? Right? Like a lot of the responses for those kids was crazy. If you really think about
Right.
it. And now we're looking at it, it's like these I'm their kid's father, and what do I do? Like, what can I say about myself? That they'll be ready to speak on. Like, oh, my father's this, that, and the third. He's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And
I
your
got,
dad was a Marine
you know,
and and retired from the Marine Corps. Now I can only imagine what while your dad was in. It just like the discipline, the amount of focus and attention. And you've told stories about your mom, how your mom counterbalanced everything, you know?
it's a constructional phase, man. So when you start seeing different stories being mingled into one, your father's side and your mother's side, or your uncle and your cousin's side, and their kids and how they respond and how they're living, and then you hear the stories through the family members about how certain people are living. It's like shit, my whole life is gonna be out there anyway. So what? Like what? Let me obituary these fools real quick. What's gonna be out there for me?
Hmm.
Eh, No matter how passionate, how stressed I become, like I gotta figure out to release that stress. And you said gratitude. I love that. But for me, I don't know if it's gratitude that helps me feel the accomplishments. I feel that there's more than just one word. I think it's just reflection. Because if I don't really look at how well I'm taking into my breathing habits on releasing this pain, my reflection to me is seeing that if it's still there, becoming an issue. Do I
Hmm.
still have the problem that persists, or did I alleviate that issue?
Right. Are you calibrating, your self-assessment and your self-awareness? Are you recalibrating for the next movement of what you got? Like even calibrating just to get sleep. How many people cannot even, I mean, I think that's the next most valuable point is your quality of sleep giving you the relief you really need as conscious and subconscious, then your body. because your body keeps all that score of the mental abuses it goes through. And burnout, emotional burnout, intellectual burnout, it will show up on your face. It will show in the wrinkles, or maybe your eyes. You got bags under your eyes, like, hey, you just been in a fight with Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago. I must break you. Yeah, it's real. It really is real. Like, what do you see? I see pain. It's like, yeah, I feel pain. Uh-huh. I got you. But if you really think about it, it's just like, what I mean, I'm just using Rocky as an example, but constantly in his story, he had to learn how to dig deep, and there are many other inspirational stories of how to dig deep and find what matters most, why you keep fighting, and it's kind of like what he says in like one of his movies, say, don't matter how hard you can get hit, it's how hard you can get hit and then keep getting up and keep punching, and that's the important part about release and relief, calibrating your choices to gratitude, breathing, what matters, what you're putting in your mouth, to your gut, sleep. These are all important things. If you're not taking it, an evaluation, if you can't do it daily, then at least do it weekly. That would be my prescription. You know what I mean?
Start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to be our tactics. Like you can go out and find something that's going to benefit you and actually fit your release system. Like because not everybody's going to have the same, so we
Mhm.
understand that.
Everyone's different.
But
Yeah.
there is something for somebody, right? One of the shows I had, gentlemen said, you know, when the market really goes into the free market, people are going to have their selections to choose which teacher they like the best, or
Mhm.
which store or merchandiser they like the best because they know their history, they know their in my world reflection of that individual. So it's kind of like, hey, it's a new market, it's a new world. People are actually attributing to society amongst the free market mindset. More people are willing to jump aboard this new train. So now that we have it, it's not going anywhere. Right. This is kind of how we're going to see it progress in the future. For that, how do you fit into that future? What is it that you're going to be able to grind out, develop, and really rethink after you do your daily, hopefully your daily or an hourly reflection or your breathing? That's most key. Just get back to your breathing, regardless of anything. Once you get yourself centered again, then go ahead and go back out into the world. But how is it that you're doing this? Are you applying this to your daily regimen? Are you going to start trying to do this every hour? Are you going to do it during the week? Whatever it may be, take the time to really assess yourself. That's from me. I know 72 has a different grind and outlook on it, but for me, just take your time.
Yeah, patience is a key. I mean, it's one of the many things. Like I said, gratitude's one, sleep's another. Self assessment, not criticizing yourself, but understand that the difference between criticism and critique. Critique doesn't tear you down. Um, Criticism does. Those self voices like, I'm not good enough. It's because I lead the conversations this way. It's because I wasn't raised. You got to set all that aside. Excuses don't matter in your results.
They
Your
really don't.
res- your results are indicative to the efforts, conscious and subconscious. So, if you're taking yourself too serious, learn to relax. Take on a hobby that's something about you that you can enjoy. I mean, me creating content with Mr. No Show, it is a pure joy. And let me say that first and foremost to most people and all my listeners and viewers is that this part of my day is probably one of the self treatments for a lot of the things that I deal with. And I enjoy talking to great minds and people like Mr. No Show, and we talk and we've had times where we took like blank canvas, took a space, we did creative works on our own, we learned things, and here we are back again. We're really essentially in our third season. So every time we come back, I've noticed that we come back stronger, and that's understanding the breaks. You know, it's getting the breaks in there. So when you come back to doing, and what is your vision? Your visions matter. So that's my outtake on it.
Yo, for that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been like one of these rides and where you just hop in the vehicle, you just take it to your destiny, right? So we're on this journey, and for everybody who's out there succeeding in their own ambition, I humbly bow to you. You know what I'm saying? I know it's tough out here. I know I can understand that people are going through a whole ass mental breakdown. They're dealing with certain things because their decisions that they've made. If you go back to our last show, good. What is your or how good is your poor to judgment? Once
Yeah.
you start realizing that people out here are also making very poor judgments, we have to underline the good. That sometimes those are just it's something that we're all going to be faced with. And if you can't actually sit there and think about what you've done or how you're about to attribute yourself back into society, then it can just overwhelm you and just cause you to burn out. You'll just go through a spiral, and it's not up. So, peep what you're doing. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's get it. I want to change your mind. I want to change your heart. I want to change your perspective. And that's how it's going to grow because we are the water to your seedlings that we have been planting in your brain. So that's all I'm saying. Get this
And
out.
and to piggyback off that, just remember sometimes in the darkness things grow. Just remember that. You may not see it and you think you need the light to see everything. Sometimes having in the darkness a little bit is the best thing that you can have. Knowing everything and trying to predict every step of the way just is exhausting. Let things come as they need to. Kind of like reminds me of song Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book. Life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities. Don't worry about, the the bees are buzzing in the trees. you know why do we worry so much? We worry about things that could not be in our control. Like, I can't control what goes on in politics, but I can make contributions and who makes those decisions at some point. So now I take myself, in my presence, a real check. So we got a couple minutes left before the broadcast ends, and if there's any Q and A's, questions, answers, whether if you're on my wisdom and you want to ask a question or offer a contribution, I'm all willing to offer that. Otherwise, you can make a comment on our YouTube station or Twitch and Twitter. We can allow that. There is a speaker coming up. Let's see. We've got Gary Thompson. Let you come in for a brief moment, and let's hear from you, Gary. Welcome in 3, 2, 1.
What's
All
going
right.
Hey
on?
man, how you guys doing? Can you hear
What's
me
going on,
okay?
Kevin? Yeah, man. How you feeling, buddy?
All right, man. I just wanted to chime in, and it was great listening to you guys. This is the first time I caught you guys talk. I guess you guys are on another platform, and you kind of on
We all
together.
tie it in. We make it so a lot of people can see us as best we can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just wanted to give you some feedback. Great content. Man, I resonated with you guys so much talking about the burnout. I'm at that stage now in my career. I'm transitioning to in that creative space. You guys were talking about that earlier, that creative space and being able to do those things and provide for your family, not just to exist, but to really live an abundant life. And that's where I'm heading. And, my story here with wisdom, but I'm not going to hold you guys. I just wanted to say I appreciate the call. I'm following you to hop on some of the others and probably go back and listen to some of your recordings. But you guys are spot on, man. Just wanted to just send some appreciation your way.
So every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Mountain Central, Tuesdays and Saturdays. That's when Blank Canvas comes on. Mr. No Show does his own independent show as well as I do. I do Rise and Grind Mondays and Wednesdays for sure. And the other days are optional. So those are our time slots that we come on. When we work together, it's usually Tuesdays and Saturdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to check us out, that's when we're on live.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely give it a follow. Great content, and I know you guys been going for a while, but I just wanted to give some feedback there from the wisdom side of just finding you guys, and I love this app. It's great content. It's great that they record them too. So I'm gonna go back and check out some of you guys' other talks. So
Thanks, Gary. We definitely
guys.
appreciate you.
I appreciate
All
you,
right,
man.
guys.
Take it easy,
All
man.
right, thank you.
All right, take care. If anyone else is going to come up, do it now before we close out. Otherwise, me and Mr. No Show are going to go on to doing the duties of our lives. But just think about, if you're burned out today, what can you do to help better your situation and give you the relief that you're going to feel a lot better either later today, right now, or even throughout the week. Take an evaluation of what you can do, either with the little things or big things. That's what I would strongly suggest. Any closing thoughts, Mr. No Show?
You know what? I'm humbled right now. You know, if we can reach one person, that's a big step. So
Absolutely.
real talk, I hope my guy, he pulls through his transition, because I believe you're not the only one. So don't feel like you're taking all this burden by yourself, my guy. Right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people in transition as we speak, including myself. So big ups to you, man. Big ups.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, I think that's all the time. No other callers are coming in. So make sure you tune in this Saturday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Mountain Central. We'll release the topic for Saturday later on in the week. So make sure that you tune into our social medias. We have Blank Canvas on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. We have a website. We have now a Blank Canvas YouTube site. So if you want to be able to be a part of the show, you want to be a guest, make sure that you DM one of us or both and give us your ideas, your mindset, and be, subscribing and liking and supporting goes a long way. We are here not just to help ourselves and discover these issues, but to make a better experience all around. Thank you so much for all those who've attended on all the platforms we're distributing. And that's from me.
Yo, big ups to everybody that stepped up in here. Y'all know how I do with my whole bravado. It's big and everything. I got a big ego. But yeah, my whole heart goes out to each and every one of y'all out here. Appreciate you.
All right. I'm 72 the Architect.
And I'm Mr. No Show.
And we're Blank Canvas, and we'll see y'all next time.